All right, I see a lot of questions, people asking how durable are the Takomo irons? Well, let's find out. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day. So, are the Takomo irons durable? Well, there's probably a lot of different ways we could try and answer that question. We could go play thousands of holes with them. We could stick them in a bag and drive them around on a cart, see what kind of bag chatter we get after miles and miles. I'm going to try and speed up the process a little bit with a couple simple tests to see how these Takomo irons stack up against some of the most well-known, really popular irons out there. So I've got two Takomo irons to kind of hit each of the categories. Here we've got the 301 MB. This is a forged muscleback. And then in this hand, I've got the 101T, which is a cast club. Now we're going to compare these to a couple of Mizuno irons. You know, when we're talking about irons, it's hard to beat a Mizuno. So I've got two clubs that I think are going to fall pretty close in line with these, at least as far as, you know, the kind of player who would use them, the feel, the materials that are more or less being used. So for the Mizuno line, I've got a couple heads that I'm taking out of service because they are no longer current models. So we've got the JPX 923 Tour and we've got the JPX 923 Hot Metal Pro. So what we're really going to be looking at is how each of these Takomo irons stacks up against their equivalent sort of Mizuno iron. Okay, test number one. This is going to hopefully replicate sort of the, you put your golf bag on the cart, you forget to strap it in, you take off, the bag falls off, and the clubs all hit the cart path. So that's kind of the idea here. However, I'm not going to do it once because if it's worth doing, of course it's worth overdoing. We're going to do it 10 times with each of these irons, dropping it from 6 feet onto the pavement and seeing what kind of damage we get. Again, this is what all these golf clubs look like right now in their basically new, pristine, or close to it condition. So we will have the before and after. All right, let's go outside and start dropping things. 101T. JPX. MB. Tour. All right, I'm going to show you the before and after for each of these. I'll let you guys decide kind of what you think as far as how much damage they took. Obviously, the forged stuff is going to be easier to damage. It's easier to dent and ding. The cast clubs are not nearly as soft, so they are not going to show nearly the damage. They're pretty much all just kind of showing more superficial scratches and that kind of thing, whereas the forged clubs do actually dent and bend a little bit more, ding a little bit more. That's to be expected. The Takomo of the four, the 301 MB, yeah, it showed the most damage, but it's, you know, it's also the softest metal, so that's not a huge surprise there. The Takomo 101T, again, scratches and things like that, but not really anything beyond that. The JPX Hot Metal pretty much showed almost nothing. Very light scratches. You can feel it when you run your finger over it, but pretty light overall, really with both the cast clubs. Next up, we're just gonna try and replicate what would happen if you hit hundreds of thousands of golf balls, only instead of golf balls hitting the face, it's gonna be a 3-pound hammer. All right, this is pretty self-explanatory. We got the club heads that are gonna go right down here on this X, like that. We've got our 3-pound hammer, just like that. I'm gonna hold it up to this piece right here, which should fall right down on the X. We're gonna do this, let's say 6 times each, and we'll see what kind of damage that face takes with each of these different heads. JPX 923. All right, the 3-pound mallet drop. Let me just say before we get into it, look, don't try any of this at home. Don't do any of this. This was dumb, ridiculous nonsense. Things were bouncing around. You darn near lost an ankle in there, so don't do it. All right, first up, the cast clubs. 101T, honestly, looking at it, it shows almost no signs of that mallet being dropped on it. If you hold it, just looking down at it, I don't even really see anything. If you get it in just the right light angle, you can just barely make out some slight little indentations in that leading edge. Again, everything that I ended up dropping, everything was hitting right here on this leading edge. I wanted, ideally, I thought to try and hit it in the middle of the face, but as we started, everything was hitting this leading edge, and so that's what it did for all these clubs, so at least it's consistent. So I think it's still telling, even though it didn't hit right in the center of the face. But again, the 101T, just the very, very slightest indication that it took some punishment. The 923 hot metal, this guy, it's hard to even tell that anything happened to it, honestly. Maybe I can, again, if you get in just the right light, I feel like I can see maybe one little mark, but it's hard to even say. So this thing is really a tank. But overall, again, the 101T, pretty solid considering dropping a 3-pound sledge from 6 feet repeatedly. Now with the forged clubs, again, obviously much softer than the cast clubs, so they're going to show more damage. We knew that going into it. Again, the Takomo going into this, I feel like is the softer metal, so it's not surprising to me that it would show more marks, more dings, more dents in it than a harder metal club. But again, overall, I didn't really feel like it showed that much differently as far as the impact marks go to what the Mizuno forged club did. It's a little bit deeper, but not significantly deeper. It was also a little bit more, I was a little more consistent, I would say, in how I dropped the mallet, because everything was just within this, call it 1/2 to 5/8 of an inch space, whereas with the Mizuno, I kind of spread it out, not on purpose, but it spread out more like about an inch from one side to the other. So a little bit more concentrated as far as the contact went with the Takomo. And again, yes, you can definitely see there's marks there. There's no question about it, but you can definitely see there's marks with the Mizuno. And again, just like with the cast ones, we are talking about very different price points. So when we're talking about durability of any of these golf clubs, we do kind of have to put it in that context as well of, you know, the Takomos are not in the same price point as the Mizunos. That's my opinion of it. Hey, let me know down in the description how do you think the Takomos did based on what your expectations were coming into this video? All right, that's it. Make sure you go down below, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you'll be alerted when I post new videos. We'll see you next time. Bye.